That's the nature of dealing with control. You gotta keep fighting the good fight, so to speak. Wow, a third Teferi Hero of Dominaria. Good grief, gosh, and golly. Greetings, everyone. I am glad to be here, and I am glad that you are here. We have a pretty sweet deck today. It is Boros vehicles. Many of you will have been familiar with the vehicles when they were in Standard. They regularly went into a Mardu shell. One of the stronger removal spells in the format was Unlicensed Disintegration. There was also some other stuff that Black added that was really good, like Scrap Heap Scrounger, things like that. But I'm not sure that's the correct way to go. We're in Boros, and I'm feeling pretty good about the list we've got put together. I can't be certain how good the deck's going to be, but I am really excited about the cards. As I was putting the deck list together, honestly, the deck just started feeling really, really good and just kept feeling better. I don't know if it's just a feeling, but it feels pretty good. Let's go over the list. Some of the key cards in the list are going to be vehicles, right? Because this is a vehicle list. Heart of Kiran. This is the heart of our deck as well. 2 mana, 4/4 Flying Vigilance. Oh my word, gone are the days of Sarah Angel. Am I right? Now, okay, you've got a crew for 3. But you may remove a loyalty counter from a planeswalker you control rather than pay Heart of Kiran's crew cost. So, yes, you can pay 3 power and tap that 3 power to animate Heart of Kiran. But if you have one of our several planeswalkers down, you can also remove counters to animate it, and it is very, very strong. But how else might we animate Heart of Kiran? Well, one of the best ways is going to be Toolcraft Exemplar. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control an artifact, Toolcraft Exemplar gets +2/+1 until the end of turn. So the ideal draw would be Plains, Toolcraft Exemplar on 1. Go ahead, opponent. Then it comes back to you. You do untapped land of some variety, of which every single land in our deck is untapped, has untapped potential. And then Heart of Kiran. Combat. At the start of combat, Toolcraft Exemplar becomes a 3/2. You use Toolcraft Exemplar to animate Heart of Kiran in the beginning of combat. We progress to combat. You attack with a 4/4 Flying Vigilance on turn 2. If you're on the play, and you're attacking with Sarah Angel on turn 2, this is like, you know, Black Lotus, Mox Opal, back in the day type of shenanigans. You know what I mean? This is straight nonsense. You know, where you're attacking with Sarah Angel or something on turn 2 with the most godly of all draws, right? But there are other ways as well. So let's say you don't have your Toolcraft Exemplar, but you can at least cast the Heart of Kiran on 2. Great. Pass the turn. When it comes back around to you, you can also use Veteran Motorist, 3 power creature, to crew, or Relentless Raptor, 3 power creature, to crew. So we have a total of 8, 9, 10, 11... 3 potential 3 power creatures within the turns 1 or 2, right? So all of those can turn on Heart of Kiran, and that is a very significant goal for this deck. We want to be turning on Heart of Kiran early and often. But what else are we doing here? Well, okay. Another one of the key cards in this deck that we're excited about is Depala Pilot Exemplar. 3 mana, 3/3. Other dwarves get +1/+1. Well, do we have any other dwarves? You might be surprised. We, in fact, do have other dwarves. Toolcraft Exemplar happens to be a dwarf, as does Veteran Motorist. So the tribal is relevant. Admittedly, you know, we don't have that many creatures, but darn it, when there are 8 of the others in your deck, that's a notable number. It will come up from time to time, even if... Oh, shoot, I just deleted one. I'm going to have to go put that back in. Don't want to play games with a 59-card deck. We'll get judge called, right? But the other text is also relevant. We're in a creature deck, or a vehicle deck, and we have a million vehicles. Each vehicle you control gets +1/+1 as long as it's a creature. Folks, that's strong. So if you use Depala to animate Heart of Kiran, she has 3 power, right? Suddenly, Heart of Kiran's a 5/5. But wait, there's more. Ladies and gentlemen, Veteran Motorist says, whenever Veteran Motorist crews a vehicle, it gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. So let's say you use, you have Depala and Veteran Motorist down. You can use Depala to crew Heart of Kiran, which will be giving it +1/+1. Or you could be using Veteran Motorist to give it +1/+1. And either one is very strong. And boy, oh boy, a 5/5 Flying Vigilance harkens back to Archangel, right? And that's, you know, that was a 7 mana card way back in the day, 5/5 Flying Vigilance. So, yeah, very, very powerful. But we have more vehicles as well to talk about. Aethersphere Harvester for the more aggressive matchups. A 3/5 flying blocks very well. You only need 1 power to crew it. 1 power, ladies and gentlemen. So anything in our deck can crew this. But when it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. You can pay an energy. Aethersphere Harvester gains lifelink. So in the mono red style matchups and stuff, very, very strong. Just being able to gain, even if it is just the 6 life, the fact that it blocks well and gains life, oh boy, very, very strong there. Just 2 of here, but there is another one over in the side. So a total of 3 in the list. Another kind of cool card. This is a little bit more of a fun of than a real card sort of thing, right? But it is a 3 mana 6/6. Heavens to Murgatroyd. How much more do you want out of this? It crews for 4. The crew 4 is actually kind of challenging. The rest of our stuff all crews very cheaply. 3s here and 1 here. So the crew 4, not easy, but notably not legendary. And you can pay a white and a colorless. Another target vehicle you control becomes an artifact creature until the end of turn. You can turn on vehicles without having to crew them. Very powerful. To spend the extra mana, you might accrue right here with the Peacewalker Colossus. Here we're going to get to our Planeswalker package. So you can either animate Gideon to have him crew, like the Peacewalker Colossus. Animate can become a 4/4, or Gideon can become a 4/4 when you animate. Being able to animate here, but also can remove counters for the Heart of Kiran, but also gives us an element of control where we can prevent all damage or permanently control. Very, very good. Chandra, just an all-star, does everything, is control, can -2 hurt creatures, can add more mana, can give us card advantage, you know. It's Chandra Torch Divines. She's insane. I kind of want another one in here, but I don't know where to cut. You know, it is what it is. Karn the Great Creator, giving us the Wishboard. We're familiar with this sort of thing. Maybe a few other different changes to the Wishboard than you might have seen in the past, but that's the same idea. But it also can, up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact with power and toughness, each equal to the converted mana cost of that card. So if we do have a Skysovereign Consul flagship down, we can animate it using Karn. It's only a 5/5 flying instead of a 6/5, but darn it, it still does all the other abilities, right? In the same way, we can also use Parhelion, which is on the side. Yes, the Aethersphere Harvester is only a 3/3 flying, but oftentimes, like, that's just fine as well, right? Just being able to animate it, you plus your Karn grows because you're plussing when you use that. Very, very strong. The Heart of Kiran gets a lot worse. It becomes a 2/2 Flying Vigilance. So you'll often want to be removing the counters to do that. So most of the time, rather than using it to animate Heart of Kiran, you would just plus, say, submit 0, and then remove the counter you just put on to animate the Heart of Kiran. But there could be instances where you want to do that. You know, but all that being said, folks, this deck looks like a lot of fun, and I'm going to go ahead and try it out. I'll see you in the gameplay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are up against the Crazy Cow, and darn it, this hand looks great, honestly. So we're just gonna hang on to it and see if we can do something silly here, huh? All right, Toolcraft Exemplar coming out on 1. Pass and yield a turn. Don't remove it, opponent. Don't remove it. Be kind. Rewind, as we say in the 90s. Opponent attunes with Aether. Oh, and gets a Swamp. Folks, we have seen quite a few energy decks, but they're almost always in the teamer variety. Our opponent going with black mana is interesting, no doubt. Our opponent, of course, going to get rid of our Toolcraft Exemplar, but we were planning for that. So we're going to go ahead and Veteran Motorist, Scry 2. We don't need another Heart of Kiran. I think the Peacewalker Colossus is actually okay, because we do have a Gideon of the Trials coming. And yeah, let's go ahead and cruise, shall we? It actually gets +1/+1 because Veteran Motorist is a heck of a magic card. Let's get in for 5 more. Our opponent on 12 life already. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting them, as they say. Blood Chief's Thirst going to come down and wreck our Veteran Motorist as well. Disappointing, but certainly not the end of the world. Our opponent makes their land drop with Murkwater Pathway. Oh, they're on Sultai. Interesting. No! We really wanted this Gideon, folks. Really desperately wanted the Gideon. That's all right. All right, we're going to get down a Peacewalker Colossus. This can animate our Heart of Kiran and other vehicles as well without the need for other creatures. So that much definitely good. And our opponent's on a 2-turn clock now. All right, so let's just go ahead and do this thing. Yeah, animate this Heart of Kiran and get in for 4. Past that turn, we are not going to be animating it for blocks. If our opponent wants to get in for any amount of damage less than 18, we are perfectly okay with that. We don't want sorcery speed removal to be able to get our Heart of Kiran. We would like to try and get lethal down against our opponent if we can. And the opponent just scoops it up. Feels good, man. Ladies and gentlemen, oh boy, who would have guessed that turn 1 Toolcraft Exemplar into turn 2 Heart of Kiran would be a strong sequence of plays. But here we are, raking in win number 1. Good game, opponent. Good game. Okay, folks, here we are. Okay. The stand is good. We will need more lands, of course, and keeping a 2-lander on the play is always a scary proposition. But we can do quite a bit with just the... Hey, our opponent's playing some mill with just the lands we've got here. So let's go ahead, get down a Relentless Raptor. I think it being a 3/3 Vigilance is quite strong. Is required to attack each turn of Fable, but it can both attack and block, which is kind of convenient. All right, so we do draw a mountain off the top. Unfortunate. Opponent deciding whether or not to take 3 damage. They do. All right, we are actually going to just advance the board with a Heart of Kiran. Our opponent, this is a much more valuable equipment, or I'm sorry, a vehicle than the Aethersphere Harvester. This one, very, very strong, particularly in aggressive matchups, where it can be gaining that life link until the end of turn. Very, very strong. But we would much rather just have the extra power and toughness in the Heart of Kiran, given the current set of circumstances. A land off the top would be glorious, folks. We would, well, a white land. We would love to be able to get down Gideon of the Trials here. That would be fantastic. Yep. These things are fine. Oh my goodness, and here it is. Yes, please. Gideon of the Trials, come on down. We're going to go ahead and say no damage from the Champion of Wits. Just eliminate that damage entirely here. And then we're going to animate Heart of Kiran by removing a Planeswalker loyalty counter. And get in for 7, all of it Vigilant, and some of it Flying. Our opponent still can't kill the Relentless Raptor because Champion of Wits doesn't deal damage. Now, of course, it can be chumped a whole bunch of times here, but there are some interesting decisions in our opponent's future. Opponent milling themselves. Wow, that not quite what we were looking or what we were expecting. Oh, I see. I see what's going on here. Fair enough. Yep. Refurbish straight to the bin. Sure. Are you going to jump in front of that? No. Opponent just takes the damage. Good heavens. All right. These things are fine. Opponent going to mill themselves some more. Yep. And more? They're going to have to get some energy to do that. They are fresh out of mills. Strategic planning. Gonna look at the top 3 cards of the library. 1 into the hand, the rest into the bin. 2 lands go to the bin. 1 card to hand. Chart, of course, happens. Opponent gonna draw 2 cards and then also discard a card because they attacked with no creatures this turn. Yep. And opponent. All right, our turn. Well, that was a good draw. We're just going to go ahead and shoot Champion of Wits. Turn Gideon into a creature. Remove a loyalty counter from Gideon. And Gideon, as they say. Yep, opponent can block. But they drop down to 1. Now, yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and wait. So that we can at least cast this and immediately crew the Heart of Kiran, if nothing else. All right, Angel Invention coming on down. Going to fabricate 2. The counters going on herself. Fair enough. Our turn. Sure. Yeah, let's just Veteran Motorist, do a little bit of scrying. Toolcraft Exemplar is fine. Turn Gate of the Trials into a 4/4 Indestructible. Animate using Veteran Motorist. It's going to become a 5/5 now because that's the way this thing works. And then we're going to get in. Angel Invention going to jump in front of Heart of Kiran. Minister of Inquiry is going to get in front of Gideon. All of them, or all of the opponent's team dies there. But, of course, the lifelink going to keep him in the game. We go ahead and get some energy with Aethersphere Harvester. Gideon goes back to Planeswalker status. Creatures just hanging out. Yeah, all right, it's our turn. And Roby scooping them up. GG, Roby. GG. What can I say, folks? It's powerful synergies indeed. But it was an honor, Roby. It was an honor. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on the play with a 2-lander, and unfortunately the 2-lander is both red, so we're going to send this one back. Ay, this is not much better. We're going to keep it just to avoid having to go down to 5. We do have a 3-lander. You know, it's one of those things, right? Like, if we go all the way down to 5, there's a good chance we don't end up with anything usable anyway. And we do have plenty of colorless cards, so the possibility of being able to do that is relatively significant. But darn it, this just feels so bad. As it turns out, our opponent's on blue-white control. Oh, this is gross. Our opponent, not very nice over there. With Rakdos sleeves, but still being the fun police. That is kinda a little surprising, I think. Maybe it's just me, but that definitely is in the surprising style ballpark. Well, let's go ahead. Karn the Great Creator, go to the side. Get something that's good against control. What do we see here that's good against control? There's the God Pharaoh statue, but it's likely to just get countered. We also don't have the lands for it yet. If their win condition is going to be Dream Trawler, the Shadow Spear, actually pretty good. It might just be Sorcerer's Spyglass, though, honestly. It probably is supposed to be. Let's go ahead and do it. The vast majority of the time, folks, our opponents' blue-white control style shells rely on Teferi Hue of Dominaria, among other things. Do you have a land, opponent? They did draw a Syncopate. Well, darn it. Birth of Melodus. Okay. Gets a Plains. Hey there, that's kind of convenient. Let's get a look at our opponent's hand before we go... Okay, it is Teferi Hero Dominaria. Well, not surprising. So let's go ahead and go over to the side. Let's see here. Yeah, let's just grab this God Pharaoh statue. It will put them in very, very difficult shape if they ever go to tap out. And I think that's a good place to be. Alright, opponent makes the land drop. Thinking things over. Goes ahead and passes. Well, let's see if we can get him to spend that Syncopate, shall we? Trying to kill the Narset, sure. They let it happen. They've got a replacement. This isn't anything heartbreaking, right? But the deal is, now we just get to cast a brand new one, right? And we're going to animate the Sorcerer Spyglass and attack. Sure. Of course, we're conditioning them so that we can Bonecrusher Giant later. We didn't want to fire it off there. It just gives them a free Syncopate target. As expected, all the creatures go away. That is exactly what we're hoping for, because now we get to slam a God Pharaoh statue, and things look good from here. Or look reasonable from here. Our opponent can Teferi and tuck, and then we get to shoot, but then, of course, Teferi also... they have a replacement Teferi, so that part's not great, but, you know. That's the nature of dealing with control. You gotta keep fighting the good fight, so to speak. Wow, a third Teferi Hero of Dominaria. Good grief, gosh, and golly. That is really annoying. Alright, sure. So let's go to the side and get... kind of a tough spot here. I guess let's just get the Helmet Host. But then go with Helm, Shock, Pass, and, you know, our opponent just gets to slam a new one. Yeah. Opponent going to tuck our, Interesting. Hey, now, that's a good one. So let's Gideon of the Trials. Opponent can try and Syncopate, but darn it, that's not going to get the job done here. If they have a negate or something, they have two unknown cards. Very possible they have a negate. Syncopate X equals 1. Well, we will pay. We are going to Emblem right now. I don't think there's a reason to not. But since we went for the Helm of the Host play before, we were setting ourselves up for that, and it worked out nicely, right? We can now Helm of the Host a Gideon, and boy oh boy, having multiple Gideons, very strong against this style deck. They are indestructible and typically a little more difficult to remove for our opponent's style deck. Wow, they just Teferi right over top of themselves. Gonna tuck our Gideon? They are gonna tuck our Gideon. Heavens to Murgatroyd. Folks, look at this. A little bit nonsensy, if you ask me, but it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, Cleansing Nova coming on from the top of the library. That does make all of these artifacts much, much worse, as it turns out. So let's slam a Bonecrusher Giant. And pass, I guess. We're not going to slam the Godfrey statue like we would have liked to, but now our opponent has to choose lose Teferi or handle Bonecrusher. It's possible they can do both, of course. But if their only removal spell is, in fact, the... Oh, Baffling End. Darn it! Boy, oh boy, that's really annoying. And Ashes of the Abhorrent. Whenever a creature dies, gain a life. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or activate cards in graveyards. Yeah, we don't care about our graveyard. But our opponent having all these enchantments does make our other plan better, right? So we're trying to resolve the Karn the Great Creator here. Opponent cycles away a Censor. Doesn't have 2 blue now. All right, well. We're going to animate the Helm of the Host. Yep, can't make any copies currently, but we are going to attack Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Opponent has the Settle. Very unfortunate. I mean, not surprising, sure, but unfortunate indeed. We do have to shuffle away the Gideon. I think it's worth it. Again, unfortunate, but not unexpected. Opponent's Cleansing Nova, doing work over there. Just hanging out. Yeah. Well, let's try and resolve a Skysovereign Consul Flagship. Mystical Dispute. Darn it, folks. That is tragic indeed. All right, well, we're going to go ahead, go to the side, get a hold of another Skysovereign. Parhelion. We are only 1 land away from being able to do the Parhelion thing. Yep. Do your thing. Opponent. Alright. Teferi doing Teferi things. Read annoying, right? Those, that's very key text. Not exciting for us. Teferi helping our opponent draw millions and millions of cards here. See if our opponent remembers we can animate. All right, well, I'm not sure if they remembered or not, but we're going to take the bait if they did remember. And if they didn't remember, we're going to wreck them a little bit. Yep. Opponent going to gain a life up to 21. And Teferi untapping a land. Sure. All right, well. Let's remove a counter from that fella. Wait. Go after Teferi again. Hey there, got him. Okay, that's good. That is good. So then, we have the freedom to just plus submit 0. Yeah, these things are fine. And we're going to advance the board with Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Opponent. It's a Syncopate for 5. Darn it. Very annoying. Okay. Fine, fine, fine. Let's get down a Peacewalker Colossus. Opponent going to run out the Cleansing Nova finally? No. Alright, well. We're going to animate our Heart of Kiran. And block. Yes, we trade. Just not a big deal. Yep. These things are fine. Yeah, I feel like we're the ones in relatively good shape here. Yeah, gonna kill ourselves Narset, get down a Bonecrusher Giant. Crew up our Colossus and get in. Opponent blocks. Opponent gains another life up to 24. Heavens to Murgatroyd. Alright, well, just keep our Karn the Great Creator around. Definitely doing work. Alright. Yep, opponent drops to 18 now. Let's go back to the side again. Get ourselves a Skysovereign. On red, I guess. And pass. I don't think we need to do anything else here until our opponent does something. And most of their win conditions are in the bin, right? 3 of the Teferis already over there. Yep. Crew up. Go to combat. Get in. Drop our opponent down to 12. Animate. Submit 0. Yeah, I think this is fine. All of these things are fine. Our opponent can't have too many more Cleansing Novas. They've already cast one. Alright, yep, sure enough. Creature goes away. Annoying, but it is what it is. History Banana, come on down. Creates 2/2. Sure. Alright, well. Let's try and resolve a Parhelion. Now would be a great time for that. Nope, Disdainful Stroke. Alright, well, fine. Unfortunate, but fine. Submit 0. These things are okay. Yep. Damage is dealt. Karn drops to 1. Alright, Aethersphere Harvester, come on down. Adds a couple of energy. Toolcraft Exemplar. Also joining the party. Veteran Motorist. Gonna make an appearance. These things are great. We're going to use Karn. Submit 0. To combat. Crew 4. Seven damage coming in at our opponent's face. They are able to block some amount of it. And we're going to pass. Opponent, Knight Skip +2/+1. All right. The 4/3 coming on in. Well, we're going to use the alternate ability on Peacewalker Colossus to animate Aethersphere Harvester. Aethersphere Harvester, of course, being a 3/4. We're going to go to blocks and eat ourselves a 4/3. I'm sorry, not a 3/4, a 3/5. So we get to eat the 4/3 for dinner. Do they have a destroy all creatures? They do. Annoying, no question about it. But that is 3 cleansing novas, folks. They are likely running out of those, I would expect, by now. All right. Godpharaoh statue trying to make an appearance. Angel of Grace showing up. All right. That is surprising. We do not want these lands. Heavens, do we not want those lands. All right, well. Since we can't save our Karn, we're just going to go ahead and go to the side. What will we look for here? I think just a Meteor Golem. Yeah. All right. This is fine. On it floats a blue. Sensors. Angel of Grace getting in for 5. Sure. Opponent. Thinking things over. And scoops them up. Holy cow, folks. That was a wild one. I'm not going to lie. I had a great time. That was a really intricate match. Oftentimes, when you're up against the mono or the blue-white deck, the games kind of wind up being a little bit of a blowout, one way or the other. Right? Because blue-white, once it gets stabilized, often in most formats is going to be the most powerful deck in the field if it's stabilized. It just has all the correct answers and just handles all your stuff, and you're just bleeding out turn after turn after turn. And in reality, the game ended on like turn 6 when they finally got stable. But then, you know, you couldn't concede because they were on 4 or something. You know what I mean? Like that. But this was just really intricate. And oh my goodness, wild game. I think we were in the driver's seat for most of it. But at any given point, things could have gone the other way. Oh my goodness, that was just wild. The playing around all of the cleansing novas with destroy all artifacts and enchantments was just a super, super difficult path to have to navigate. But man, it was very rewarding and a lot of fun. Good game, Parhelion. Good game. I will look forward to facing off against you in the future. It was an honor. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And oh my word. My guesses about this deck being pretty good apparently came to fruition. It definitely surpassed my expectations. We absolutely crushed game 1, but we won every game. You will see all the games I've played with this deck. I've played a total of 3 games with this deck, and so far they were all really a lot of fun, and at least the one was just a really crushing victory. Holy cow, folks. Toolcraft Exemplar into Heart of Kiran is every bit as good as you might remember. I did not miss the black at all, at least in the matchups I played. It could be later on, you guys might be able to bring to my attention different black cards we might want. But man, Boros just seemed really good to me. I can accept that maybe the Peacewalker Colossuses are maybe a little bit fun of as opposed to good, and maybe we can do better there. I liked them. I'm not super picky though, so there is that. But I would love to hear what you guys have to say about this deck. I think it is very, very strong and worth a look. I am going to be fooling around with it, I think, because this might be the sort of thing that we do a little bit of climbing with, whether intentionally or inadvertently, because this was just so much fun to play. I want to wield the cards a little more, and darn it, the games got over so darn quick, you know? So we'll see. But, you know, if you see some other cards that are glaringly obvious, like, hey, why didn't you put in this other obvious card? It might just be because I didn't think about it, darn it. I am not infallible. There are plenty of times when I look right over a card and didn't even think about its implications or something like that. Please let me know down in the comments below if you do see something that you're like, I think this would be really good. Please let me know. It's also notable that I'm a streamer. I stream 5 nights a week, ladies and gentlemen. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I stream 4 hours a night, 5 days a week. I'd love to have you join me. I'd love it. Just come on out and say hello. It's the same name as my YouTube channel here, right? Twitch.tv/johnlikesgames. Come on out and see me. I'd love to have you. Also, just doing the liking and subscribing and stuff really helps the channel out a lot. I really appreciate it. That said, I'll catch you all next time.